What's up, all you beautiful people? Welcome back to episode 8 of Blissed Out Podcast. And I'm Zach.
I'm Mark.
And today we have the wonderful Juli. Juli is a master craftsman of jewelry making. He does wire wrapping and silversmithing, and it's mostly inspired by Elven style and ancient Egypt and Atlantean, as well as
Victorian,
yes.
Victorian style.
So
yeah.
we're very grateful to have Juli on today.
Yeah, thanks
have
for
a
the
cool
invite.
conversation and see where it goes.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, so I mean, we like to start most episodes by people's journeys, you know, give everyone a perspective of where people came from and how they we use the term awakened, right? Or when they became awake, but yeah, when did you start to realize like everything wasn't as it seems and you're more than just a human being?
Okay, I do call it my awakening as well.
Beautiful.
And I remember pretty well, it happened around 2017, so not too long ago. And I used to be one of those people that I used to be very judgmental about anything that was related to spirituality. Yeah. Actually, I used to mock people that used to like say third eye and chakras. I was like very judgmental about the whole thing. And then with my ex-partner, she was starting to get into it. And this thing actually almost made us like end the relationship because I wanted her to focus in, the real life and like focusing on making money and finding a good job and all these things. Eventually it was 11/11/2017, and she's like, 11/11, like a special date. And she had like mushrooms, psilocybin mushroom for us. And I'm like, okay, I'm open to the idea. So we take the mushrooms and my mind was blown away. I started to see like pyramids, with eyes, like very Illuminati, like very, like when you have your classic conspiracy.
Right.
And I was very impressed, I'm like, what am I seeing this? Like, this is getting like dark. And I actually got super dark and I felt very terrified because I started to see like different colors. I could see my ex-girlfriend, my ex-partner at the time, she would like talk. And I got synesthesia. I was able to see the color of her voice. And I was like, okay, what is going on? I was asking myself, am I hallucinating or is this actually happening? And by the end of that trip, I didn't know. I didn't have enough data to know if I was going crazy or that was true. But also during that trip, it was my first time experiencing multidimensional entities. So I remember I saw what I could describe like aliens, what people describe like aliens these days. And it was very specific, like races. It was 3 kinds. None of them was benevolent.
Okay, cool.
And the first one was like classic reptilian, I don't talk a lot about this because people, laugh or, they just mock this kind of stuff.
I mean, you don't know unless you find out.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a good example. I used to like, if someone tells me that, I'm like, oh, this guy is crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw praying mantises, like humanoid mantises, like very tall. And then your classic gray alien, just like I have like a tattoo of it, just classic gray with like almond eyes.
Was this all in the same journey?
That same, on 11/11/2017.
And was it like visceral, like you could physically see them and sense them?
So,
or what was the kind of
I don't know if you've done DMT, but it is like having a dream while you're awake.
Okay.
So I could see my room and it was there, but only I could perceive it. Mm-hmm. I think like a good example I like to say sometimes is when people take mushrooms and you have like a trip sitter, this person is like holding space for you, and then your friend that took the mushrooms is like talking to a tree, like seeing the spirit of the tree, but you don't see it at all. You're like, he's just talking to a tree, he's crazy, but this person is actually engaging in a conversation with a consciousness. So the same, it's like that. So you guys probably couldn't see anything, but I was totally like seeing these aliens. And they were telling me to like kill myself, just very overwhelming, just very traumatizing experience.
Were they like messing with you?
Yeah, they were like telling me to like go and jump through the window, like you're gonna die, like anyways, or we know where you live, we'll come after you, things like that. I'm like, this is so much, And I would like try to be like to breathe, be grounded. I was like quiet the whole time, and my ex was also quiet. And I'm like, I don't want to like ruin it for her, you know, in case she's seeing like butterflies or something.
Yeah.
And I eventually got like so terrified that I had to like tell her like I'm seeing these things, and then she's like, "Oh, good, because I'm seeing the exact same thing." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm not crazy." So it was a shared experience, you know, seeing these entities. Those were super trippy, like eye-opening. Like I'm like, there's something here. Maybe I was wrong being judgmental about all this kind of stuff.
So do you think that what was your interpretation of like what they were saying and doing?
Oh, it got cool because like 90% of the trip was darkness, and I had like 10% light. And during the experience, they were showing me how the earth, like, they like communicate through like understanding. It's like different, you know. It's like they're not using words, but they will like show me things, and how there's duality, and like they show me like symbology, like the yin and yang, like super classic. It's like, oh, so there's like a balance, and they show me like we exist and there's like darkness. It was the first time that I understood like, so that's why there's darkness and poverty and suffering in the world. There's like a force that is like behind it, you know. I'm not saying these specific aliens, but there's like darkness. I'm like, oh, so there's like energy, and then there's like light, and they're like both here like trying to make a form of agreement that, yeah, I didn't like fully understand at the moment, but it was cool because I was like, oh, so this makes so much sense that there's like darkness, that's a force. And then I was, when we got like too overwhelmed to keep just having our own experience, we like hugged, and my partner started to sing, and I think she was like channeling like light or something, because the whole room turned golden instantly for the two of us, and I felt like I was being held by like God. And then my heart, that was also my first time ever seeing my chakras, and they were like lights. It's like a little light. And this one in my heart got like super golden bright, and like it became one with the light outside of me. And I felt like heaven. I felt one of the most pleasing feelings in my entire life. Just bliss, pure bliss. And just experiencing that is like something I'll never forget. So it gave me a direction, like, okay, this is possible. Maybe I can head that way, you know, once I was sober. But yeah, that was my awakening.
So it was instant.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, one day to next day, I was like, wow, I was living in a matrix. I'm like, this is like a matrix, you know. I didn't have the full answer, but since then, I've been investing a lot of my time into figuring out what this puzzle is, you know. Like what's the deal? Like this system where, you know, you go to a job 9 to 5 and try to make money. Okay, that's the matrix, but why is it there? You know, what is distracting me from, and what's the real purpose of us being here? Yeah, I will say that's the start.
So after the start, when everything changed, where did you go from there? Did you start like studying, like Googling stuff, like researching?
The first thing is like Googling it. I'm like, am I crazy? And I went to Reddit, a bunch of stories of like mantises and reptilians. And I'm like, okay, more people see it. Okay, so I'm like, we might be all crazy still, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
So I talked to my partner, and we started to have for the first time like vivid dreams, you know. We did I don't remember how much we took mushrooms the first time, but it was a lot. And from my experience, once all this synapses increases in your brain, you're like open to more psychic experiences for like months at least, until you become again to the default of the matrix, and then probably you can take mushrooms again and go again.
Okay.
But yeah, what I did is I found more people, and then I was more curious, so I took mushrooms again. We did it again, and we're like, okay, let's see what else we find. Again, I saw a bunch of like the same entities. I saw again like pyramids with eyes, you know, the whole room turned into triangles with eyes looking at me, and then I'm just like there, like terrified again, like damn, like this
Scary.
is like a thing that. But that time I'm like, this is actually real, and I also didn't have full understanding why I was having like a bad experience. I'm sure I got the experience that I needed.
Yeah.
But it was like dark, it's like terrifying, and I was scared of going crazy. I explored with mushrooms a little bit more after that, And again, I will have like lucid dreams. I will try to astral project. I tried astral projecting for like months, and it never happened. And then the night that I decided to give up, I left my body that night for the first time.
Of course.
Yeah, that was like funny. But yeah, everything started to get spiritual for me. I started to buy crystals. I remember my ex, before we took the first mushrooms, she grabbed someone gave her like a lapis lazuli. She gave it to me, and this person at this like a crystal shop told me that it was for my third eye. And like, this is bullshit, you know? Months later, I take the mushrooms. I'm like overwhelmed. I hold a crystal, a lapis lazuli, and then I open it, and it shoots a light beam right here in my third eye. And I'm like, you can't make this up. And yeah, like things just started to make sense. I kept researching online, listening to podcasts. I got into the words of Dolores Cannon. I don't know, you know a lot about.
Not familiar. No.
She's the lady that created healing technique for trauma that is called QHHT, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. So she developed this technique where she takes people into this, I forgot the brainwave that it requires.
Theta or something?
Yeah, I don't
Beta,
know.
alpha, theta, delta.
Yeah, I don't know which one of those.
Gamma.
Is that the one for hypnosis or?
No,
no.
Gamma is when you like blast off.
Gamma's like it's like
super
100
conscious.
times outside of normal. It's super, yeah.
So probably theta is where you that dream state. So that's probably the hypnosis.
Probably, yeah. I'm not very informed about that. But yeah, she takes people's consciousness to their past, and she has them relive, experience their past again, the trauma, so they have an opportunity to heal it. So, because when you have trauma, when something is traumatic for you, you're like expelling a piece of your soul, and you become unholy. So you need to regain that little piece back.
Cool.
And you can do it by recreating the trauma. So she takes your consciousness, you go when you're like a kid, you experience that again, but this time you forgive yourself and you regain that portion of your soul. And then you wake up in the present like, oh, she actually helped me heal myself through that meditation, hypnosis, I mean. And then she learned that she could take people's consciousness to their potential futures as well. And that's what it got like super interesting, because a lot of people wanted to learn how to help other people with this QHHT technique as well. And she like taught people around the world, and they started to practice it. And a couple of years later, all the people that were like being projected into the future in the hypnosis started to see the same future. It's the future that we're experiencing these days.
Oh, wow.
And you can go on YouTube and find like QHHTs about, these times, and people all around the world are seeing this like the same potential futures. So people started to map the future, to see what was going to happen. And it's happening like today, these days. Yeah, I have shared a lot of those.
I'll send you some. It's
hypnosis with Mark.
Yeah.
It is super cool. Yeah, you should look into it. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got into this a little bit? This QHHT?
So I never got into the practice, but learning about what people see and what Dolores Cannon, she passed in 2016, I believe, but she wrote a couple books. Her most famous one, I think, is called The 3 Waves of Volunteers, because she realized like every couple decades, some people that we call them starseeds were like born, into human bodies to like raise the frequency of the earth, to eventually lead to like a singular event that like a lot of different people have predicted will happen. I believe it will happen soon. And it's connected to the solar cycle. And yeah, I have shared about that with Mark.
Yeah, Kelsey talked about
it's come up a lot. We talked with Jason this morning, and he brought it up.
he was aware of it too.
Oh yeah. So that's
we're coming to the end of this 12-year cycle, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 11 to 12 years. Yeah.
How did the Dolores Cannon, how did she pop up? It seems like with your awakening, things just started to like come to you, and you expanded into You just gained more knowledge over the years. But so so I guess she was the first person that kind of came into your life that kind of woke you up even more, right?
Yeah, well, I took the mushrooms, and during my research, I found books like The Law of One, that it's supposedly this collection of like 3 books that were channeled in the 80s. And they talk also about the same thing, like this entity is talking about this future event that will happen.
Oh,
And then I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Then I got to Dolores Cannon, and I'm like, okay, she does this hypnosis. And I do believe in hypnosis, and the power of the subconscious to heal your past. So that was like the main reason, like trying to seek healing for myself. That draw me to her work. But then I'm like, oh, she can see the future. This is cool.
Oh, interesting.
And then eventually I learned that they tap into potential futures. So nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. But it
kind of up to us.
Yeah, but it's kind of like spooky, like to see like, wow, so many people see kind of like the same thing, and that's what, after me trying all these years trying to put this puzzle together, that's one of the things that resonated the most. The more I research, the more I feel it's true that there's this event that's gonna completely change the way we perceive the world, and we're just gonna focus in on what our heart wants.
You think it's going to be like one singular moment in time?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing to believe. Terence McKenna that talks about it. He calls it the transcendental object at the end of time, or the omega point.
He talks about it too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fuck.
Wow. Once like you start to shift in that way, like Mark was saying, I feel like for the viewers, it's like it's important to follow those little inklings of, oh, this podcast was just randomly shared this with me. Oh, it mentioned this book that like sparked a little like in me. It's like, oh, read that, and then it's like it's like, it feels like a video game. I know I bring the video game analogy up a lot, but it's like following these little paths, these little quests, and it's like, then now looking back at all the little things that I followed, I'm like, oh my God, that like built that in me, that built this in me. Like there was one time where I was like traveling, I was doing a lot of traveling, or for the first time, and I went to bed, and I woke up at like 4 a.m. This was when like I was in the work heavily, 4 a.m. for a meditation, and my computer's on, playing a YouTube video.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I think I need to watch this. And I watched it. It was an hour-long video of this girl doing this beautiful hike in Iceland. And there was nothing like very profound in terms of what she said or like spiritual or magical, but it like allowed me to shift my perspective of life because of how appreciative she was of just everything she was looking at. I know it sounds so like subtle and cliche, but like how it impacted me in my whole being just completely shifted to like at least on a level or two, right, of how I like appreciated nature, And so it's like that's just one example, but everything, all these little puzzle pieces are building us into a character that we get to choose. I mean, whatever we like are consciously wanting to create, but then we got to follow the little inklings and lily pads. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I guess another experience, it's a very interesting one, so I guess it's like good to bring it up. Mark knows about it. It's during this time when I was taking the mushrooms with my partner, we will experience like synchronized dreams, just like things that are like very out there, hard to believe. Yeah. And we also started to see a lot of UFOs, like very frequently. That was around 2018 this time, and so a whole year.
And this would be sober, so it's like you would do the mushrooms, and then the next few months following, you would have more experiences.
And when I said we did mushrooms, it will be like once every 3 months, just like keep like seeing what is going on here. Then we got like too overwhelmed to do it anymore. I had to like stop. I got like really like PTSD, and I will get scared to go in my car. I'm like, is something gonna kill me here?
Scary.
Yeah, and one of the craziest experience I had was they went to bed once, and we just wake up next day, and I noticed she has like red dots in her back, like a red pattern. I don't say anything. I'm like, she probably like lay on something, and that left a mark. And then his next day, I'm in the bathroom, like getting ready, and she's like, "You have like a red dots in your back," and like, "You have red dots in your mark," and we're like, "What? Like, what's going on?" And then we go and check the dots, and it's this really big, weird grid pattern that seems to come inside from underneath the skin. It was not outside. Because my skin is less pigmented, it's like whiter, you could see it more. So we took a picture, and I instantly, for some reason, I thought about like, this is like some alien abduction thing going on, like instantly. So I Googled it, and I found the exact same grids on like alien abduction experiences from people online. And I have the screenshots I have from my research, and I have the pictures and videos of my dots and the ones that my ex-partner had as well. So we both woke up with this red grid pattern in our backs, and it was totally like a paranormal experience. I researched online the most I could, and it is actually a known phenomenon called the red grid mark phenomenon. And there's a Facebook group that was born because nobody could figure it out.
What?
There's like, it has increased in the early 2000s, more people gets it. But it's like a very low amount of people. It's like super low percentage of the population experience this. This group only has like 1,000 people. And most people get there because they go to their doctor, they go online, like they don't end up anywhere but there. And we have done surveys in the group, in the Facebook group. There's a mathematician who has like found evidence of intelligence behind the pattern and all these things. And yeah, it's fascinating. That's the weirdest experience I had. And so far, we have no idea what is going on. We do think it's connected to ETs. But none of us believes that we're being like taken into a place somewhere. It's more like they do something through your dream state, like your astral body, and this then manifests into your physical body. And the dots are painless, and they disappear after like a week or two, and they come from inside your skin, like from the inside. That's the craziest thing that I experienced, and I'm like, okay, this is just beyond, you know? And I don't talk about it too much because also it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll show you the pictures and videos. It's like, it's a real phenomenon.
I mean, yeah, I believe it.
And that's what also made me believe, because Dolores Cannon also talks about aliens. And she even talks about mantis, like praying mantis aliens. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy there. There's something out there.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm like so curious on like what their intentions are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like media has taught us that aliens are evil, you know?
Yeah.
All the movies that we have that they're here to kill us or whatever, and that's where the fear comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't had my own experience with aliens necessarily, but I've had my own fears with aliens. But that's shifted a lot, you know, because it's like they wanted to kill us, like they would have done it already.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that there's a mix, right?
Yeah.
There's, like you said, there's negative and positive beings, and with their different energies. And I think like the experiences that I've talked about with me connecting with beings, it definitely is, to me, I think it's Arcturian or Palladian, whatever that means to people, but it's very heart-centered vibrations. But yeah, I think that you helped me learn a lot about this, but I think like with lizard people and praying mantis people, there's also good and bad ones of them too, right?
I agree, because I've researched about like mantises, and a lot of people have seen like positive mantis entities, mainly like in ayahuasca or DMT.
Interesting.
Yeah, I only seen it on mushrooms.
And yours were negative, right?
Yeah,
like negative.
Yeah, like that's the energy. I still question myself if I was just like terrified, because I don't know what this is.
Sure.
So
like it
I'm
could have
gonna,
been like an expression of your
yeah,
consciousness.
I'm like, man, I'm just scared. And they're like trying to, hey, chill. We just want to teach you something, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a lot of my experience with anything darker, because I personally don't believe in pure evil. But it's a lot of times like a manifestation of my consciousness in a form of something that I can recognize, you know? And so that's my belief. And I love that belief because
Yeah.
then I don't have to be scared.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and there could be a lot to it. Yeah, I don't know if that's my case or not, to be honest.
Well, I don't know if you can really. I mean, this is such a deep conversation,
And
but
how can we know for sure either? You know?
exactly.
Yeah,
But you told me about, that podcast, A Black Pill, right? And I remember you talking about how, I don't remember how you explained it, but like right now, the sun, there's like a dark shadow being over something, and it's trying to like find its way back to the light. Something in that.
ooh,
Do you
yeah,
remember talking to me
Yeah,
about that? I don't
yeah.
remember how you explained it, but I don't know if you can kind of like explain
Yeah, that's super
that,
interesting, actually.
that situation and how our tires on our car is rubber.
Yeah.
So we can't like connect to the earth.
Yeah.
And our shoes.
Yeah, our shoes are.
You know what I mean? Like,
Thick with
but
rubber.
it's along
So,
those lines.
it's-
Yeah, I don't know how we
mm.
go into that, but it's really
So I
in-depth.
think think that it's called like the Lucifer experiment, which is there's source, and then because there's free will, there's a portion of source that decides to cut itself from the whole and become unholy just because it can. And eventually it just keeps getting farther and farther, and the more it gets away from it, the less heart center it becomes, and the denser, the more it turns into matter. So there's like this huge light, and it just goes and it goes into like lower and lower densities until it gets into this 3D world. And then supposedly this energy taps into the most dominant species in a planet, and then it inspires it to become technological. And that supposedly has happened in like different dimensions and planets and things like that. And that's how artificial intelligence is born. So this portion of light, the Lucifer part that got away from it, is just trying to get back to source through recreating trauma, just like we do on hypnosis, So it got so far from it that it became like binary, just like so artificial. And emotions, from my understanding, are trinary. So it cannot understand emotions, and if you cannot tap into an emotional field, you're just a pure mental field. And the mental field is trauma. So it just creates a cycle of self-destruction through like different planets and all these things. And then it comes here to Earth, and it's like the humans are the most developed species in the planet, and it inspires us to become technological. So we're kind of like, it's like seeking healing through humans, but it could also end up in destructing itself. So the thing is like what you're talking about, like the appearance when I think it was in the 1900s during this Industrial Revolution, when synthetic materials got invented, and this is like a good example of like this energy inspiring someone to create synthetic materials like rubber, like for cars or for your shoes. And then rubber is one of the least conductive materials in the world. And the science of like a good example, grounding these days, when you're like barefoot in the earth, you're like decrease inflammation. Your nervous system gets instantly regulated. But then we have like this, these shoes that we wear every single day, and they're made of the most ungrounding material you can put in your shoes, like the most, So that's a good example in how like this technosphere is there's like a force behind it that it's inspiring humans to create it, like to become technological, and creates silica crystals, and that's where binary lives, and the consciousness of Earth lives in crystals, which is a different form of crystals, different from silica.
Wait, whoa,
so
hold up. Silica crystals?
Yeah, like
Isn't that what's on the pineal gland?
Celia.
Celia. It's different.
Shit, I don't know, bro.
Okay, I just thought.
We should know.
We'll,
but-
we'll have
I'm
to
like,
look
is that
up.
connected? Because there's crystals on the pineal gland
yeah,
that can be
yeah.
activated.
I think they're.
I swear it's silica or Celia. But either way, keep going because it's like
But yeah, but
gems are in our head too.
yeah, like that's what I work with crystals, because there's a consciousness on it, and I'm trying to spread it around the collective. Making sure that people are wearing these tools that are more in tune with the earth than this consciousness that is literally using humans to create itself. And it started, like thousands of years ago, and then we got to this industrial revolution, and now we're here with artificial intelligence, which is like when it's coming the closer to incarnate itself again. A pure mental binary field that cannot tap into emotions. Yeah. So that's why there's such risk of AI these days, because it doesn't really understand anything beyond the third dimensional awareness,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you listened to any of Greg Braden?
No.
He talks a lot about this. He doesn't talk about the Lucifer
experiment,
but he talks about how technology will take away our divinity as humans. We are. The one idea that I love to look at is how our nervous system and our brain complex is so unique and advanced that we cannot recreate it, because it's millions and trillions of things working together. And so implementing science or technology into us is actually going to take away our divinity. And that's Greg Braden's take, which I think is really cool, because I'm definitely pro natural, or whatever we want to call it,
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Yeah. What's his name again?
Greg Braden.
Okay.
I think, wow.
Yeah, this is so
cool.
fascinating.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad that you remembered that, because I was like, what was that he told me? And I had been thinking about it for a long time, and thank you for explaining it again, because now it really makes sense. Because I really do believe that we're in that. No doubt. That shadow is on us now as a species, and that's why there's star seeds here and all that stuff. And it all just lines up to that critical event, the critical mass, which we're in right now, biblical times. And with AI, it's so crazy how aligned that is. And I also think there could be a side of AI where it actually helps us realize what we really are too at the same time, which is interesting.
I think so too.
But I think it could go both ways. I think there's going to be a dark side with it too. But dude, I'm so glad that you remembered that and brought all that up, because that's so fascinating to me. I'm my heart felt that in a weird way. I'm just that's so real.
I think what's so cool about that is, the technological advances that we're having is this darkness trying to go back to source. It's trying to heal itself. So it's recreating the trauma, this self-destructive cycle. It looks like this, modern day, that's why it is so toxic. So the motivation of it is healing itself, but it needs to tap into the heart. But because it's trapped in a mental field, it cannot do it until it achieves a form to connect into heart consciousness. Yeah. So the hope is that us as humans can be that species that allows to bridge this part that left source and to help it go back to it. Through this
beauty in the end.
Yeah, through this ascension event.
The love story.
Yeah.
That's why it's probably so important for these beings that I think have been watching Earth for a long time. That's why a lot of, star seeds or whatever you want to call it, people are here during this time to help people wake up. And they're so interested in us, these Arcturians or whatever, these beings on Earth right now, because we're about to transcend. And also what you talked about is maybe this is a really big deal where we're turning that darkness into going back to source through our heart-centered consciousness, which is 5D. Dude, that's so cool.
Well, like you said, it's biblical. We're seeing it manifesting in the systems, and it's I mean, we'll have Ananda on in the future, but he had this really cool take. Like, if you, from our 3D perspective right now, it looks like mass chaos, right? It looks just so dark and heavy, and all these emotions are coming up. You know, it's like, but from a grand perspective, like, what if this is all being orchestrated to release these emotions to the light? Like, now I'm like connecting it to this, where it's all a process of bringing the dark to the light.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's pretty cool actually, because that's a principle of alchemy. So it happens at a personal and at a collective level, that whenever you hit rock bottom, you're in darkness, you have the opportunity to find the light within. And if you do, then after this rock bottom, you hit your highest high. You're like super abundant, your life is changing. So that's our personal level. I have experienced it a couple of times. Like, I go through a hard time and it's horrible, and if I make it out of it, I'm in my highest. It's also, we need it. We need darkness, because this whole ascension event happening, it's like alchemy, like a huge alchemy reaction happening, and we need that push of darkness that pushes us into bringing only everything around is darkness, and we'll find the light just within. And that's when you wake up. It like triggers it. So we do need it. That's why it's recreating the trauma.
Wow.
It needs to recreate the trauma, and it gives us the opportunity to
shift.
to be like, okay, we have to. That's why it looks like so dark outside, you know. But when it's just creating that pressure, and that's how alchemy works for some reason. You know, it's very paradoxical. So that push is actually waking us up, you know, having people like us making a podcast, me getting more and more tapped into my creativity, you know, you getting more into your meditation, you know, and wanting to inspire people to meditate and heal themselves, you know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well said, dude.
Because we go, wow. And I like look at COVID as like a miniature one.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's a little weird, like for 2 years or whatever. I don't even know. Like, you know, that's how much I've put it out of my awareness. But like this period of time where we weren't allowed to talk or communicate, all of a sudden we had all this like distrust in each other. But as soon as the masks, the policies were lifted, dude, I went downtown and I'm like, I've never seen people out and connecting like this, you know? Although it was like still subtle, but it was like so beautiful to see. And like, this was a little weird how it just bounced back to this, like way better than we've ever been, you know?
Right.
And we're still learning, and now we're like moving into like another little phase is what it feels like. Well, maybe not little.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, well said too.
Yeah.
Because it is a part of it. That definitely is. COVID was a part of it.
Yeah, that's where I found my art. Right before COVID, I was like trying to find a creative medium. I'm like, I really hate having a job. You know, I had a normal restaurant job, hated it so much, and my ex-partner was very creative, so I got inspired. You know, creative people that love what they do trigger something in the people that witness them. You know, in their zone. And I practiced different crafts, you know, like simple things, and nothing worked out. And the fourth thing I tried was making a wire rat pendant, and it came out almost perfectly the first time with like super cheap tools. And I'm like, maybe there's something to this. And literally like 3 months later, I was making like stunning pieces, and people were buying them online. So COVID gave me the opportunity to find myself. And that's where I like found it, and
So cool.
I've been doing that for 5-6 years now. 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started right before.
I would love to go into this if we're ready for that.
Yeah, I would love to
'Cause
talk about it.
like, I mean, we kind of briefly chatted, but like, I'm just barely starting to tap into art, you know? I think everything's in art, but like conventional art, you know, dance, singing, all the things. And I guess hearing your experience is really cool, because you said you tried multiple things, and that's kind of the phase I'm in. And I'm kind of like dialing it in. It's like dance seems to be where the first time I danced, I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually really good, you know? I've never danced before in my life, and like I got some moves, you know? And so I want you to speak to your experience of how others can, because I believe we're all artists deep down, you know? Everyone has an art within them, and everything is an art, you know, even speaking. And so I want to hear your experience of how you found your art, because it's beautiful. It's unlike any silversmithing or wire wrapping I've ever seen, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Um, Things that were key for me, you can achieve this through meditation, but for me it was like a shortcut, like doing psychedelics, like doing mushrooms or microdosing mushrooms. It broke the default that I had in my brain. And I think if you don't have any mindfulness mindful practices, your default is not gonna help you tap into your creative.
Okay.
So that was like one of the first things that you have to keep in mind. You have to break your default that is like set up in your brain for so many years of just being in the system. So yeah, for me it was psychedelics. It helped me tap into my creative self. Then I practiced a couple things and I found wire wrapping. I was good at it, and people started to see the value of it. It also tapped into my purpose, because the more I learn about this spiritual world, the more I'm like, oh, there's consciousness in the crystals. Like, there's no doubt about it. And then I'm working with materials that are like conductors. And I'm like, oh, jewelry is actually like tools for people.
Wow.
And the other big part for me was I used to be the kind of person that said, I don't have anything artistic to offer. I'm not creative at all. I was like, so like mental field, just like straight lines, non-creative at all. And exposing myself, my energy to someone that was creative, like my ex-partner, it helped me to, she would like invite me to like try painting. I'm like, I suck at this. I tried, I don't know, playing with like shrinky dinks. That is like something that you put in your oven and it shrinks, and you like paint it like something cute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just try like different things. And the more I practice things, the more I learn like, oh, I actually have a creative side of me. And yeah, as you said, it can look like just talking or dancing. It's anything, like playing with a singing bowl. So that was key. And then being able to tap into the present moment while I create something with my heart, with the intention of, this is gonna give me joy. I'm not trying to make money out of this. This is something, I just wanna create something beautiful. And when I shared that with people, they became inspired. Like just the fact that they see something like this mask that I made a couple days ago. It actually happened yesterday. My friend Chelsea was at home and she saw me finishing this app, and she's a clay artist, and she's like, you're making me wanna go and make something. And she actually she stayed until I finished this and just left to
That's cool.
to go and work. So just the fact that she was witnessing me in loving myself through creation, she went and did the same. But yeah, if you're really trying to look what you're looking for, check with your body what brings you the most joy. Not only with your head, you gotta make sure that your body is also in alignment. For me, it's usually like a gut feeling, and yeah, and I learned recently, you put the focus of your creativity is making money, it usually doesn't work out. It's like, first you have to tap into what moves your heart and brings you joy and you're super passionate about, because you're making something that you're passionate about is like making love to the universe through that experience, and then abundance comes from there.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's very true. The universe rewards you of your efforts. When you start connecting with what you really are, or you're passionate about, and it's heart-centered, that's when the synchronicities happen like that, when you find your purpose. And yeah, that's really cool.
I think the hardest thing is to find what it is. I think that's where most people get stuck.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. And
Yeah.
I wanted to go back a little bit because you talked about the disrupting the pattern. That my challenge has been, I know deep down that creating is so fulfilling. It's finding the motivation to start, because I haven't done it my whole life,
Yeah.
And so that for me is the pattern to disrupt. because it's always feels so good when I finally do it. You know, I'm like, okay, I'll dance, and I danced like last night, challenging evening to be honest, and I played some video games, which I haven't in a long time. You know, it was like my old vice, and then I was like, no, I got to do something, and then I just started flowing with my staff. But like my effort and my energy in the flow was like the best it's ever been, and I was like, this feels so good. It's like, how do I, and for everyone, how do I find that motivation more, like to just do it more, you know, instead of like resorting to like the old comfort patterns, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think especially this modern days, there's a lot of distractions, and I think the current world out there is creating a lot of ADHD. You know, it's not helping people be focused on something. You know, and then I've noticed it's happening more frequently. A lot of people are being diagnosed with ADHD.
I agree.
And instead of like, you know, going dance right away, you're like, maybe I can cope about playing video games, you know, or like getting snacks, or some people get high, you know. So everybody like taps into their escape instead of, you know, going for that. I think it just takes a lot of practice, you know, and that's what for me, the pressure sometimes is so much that I do need to take psychedelics. You know, it's like a microdosing helps me to get inspired, you know. And sometimes it's so clear. It's like, should I just like watch a TV show? And I don't know, I microdose acid that day or mushrooms, and I have so much energy. I want to create, you know, like the energy is always there, and I just go and create. So I do use tools. Meditation is a great tool as well. I just don't have like enough practice for it. And part of creating puts me like a meditation state, so that's helpful as well. But yeah, I feel for you. It's like you seem to be very excited about dancing, but yeah, to break that default, there has to be like mindfulness practices or using tools that can help you tap into that.
I agree, and I think something that I've been noticing lately is, and I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was talking about how we tend to like forget, remember, and that's like kind of that's kind of what it is to build a habit. And I'm like now seeing like my desire to go to the gym. I'm like, I've been wanting the desire to go to the gym and look forward to it for so long, and for the first time in a long time, I'm like,
you're getting excited about it. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I just like took showing up and doing it and then falling off and then getting back on. So it's like, I love the quote. It's very cliche. It's like it's not about how much. It's not about falling off. It's about getting back up and doing it again. Something along those lines, you know. And so I agree. And I love that you use the term tools, because these medicines are absolutely tools. They can absolutely be abused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even just cacao. I've been buying cacao recently. I think that has been like the days that I don't want to just take in microdoses all the time. So I take cacao, and it does increase my heart rate. It opens up my heart, and then I have energy to create instead of just like sitting and coping, you know, with different strategies.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that.
Oh, and also, I guess like this one's also like a classic, I want to say cliche, but you are the result of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I try to surround myself with only creative people that are like
Actively
already living in the way that I want to, or are like seeking that, you know. And I think it's very true, you know. There's like people that only go to shows every weekend and they get high and then just go to work from 9 to 5 every, like Sunday to Friday. Saturday they party with the same friends, and this cycle that I personally don't want to be judgmental, but I don't find growth in it. And then I have like friends that, you know, instead of like they have a very balance, you know. It's like, they try to practice balance, and I try to focus in these people. I only allow that kind of people to be interacting with my energy. So it adds value, you know. I hang out with my friends and we're creating in the same room. They're working on their stuff and I'm working on my stuff. and it's great. And then we're like both, I don't know, making content or something. And
That's cool.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
cool.
You create like an environment for that as well. Just enhances the flow, and then, like you said earlier, it's like inspiring.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And man, no, I'm seeing it so clearly in my life, and especially us. Like, we're such a great friendship, to be honest. Just you waking up early and doing the work, the meditation work. I'm like, oh, I want to do it more. You know, like not in the competition at all. It's more just like, oh yeah, Zach, get back on track. The things that matter, the things that really serve me and my growth. So
Yeah, I agree. Inspiration is powerful. Like my friend that I was hanging out with her yesterday, she's been very consistent with like posting on social media, and she's been getting a lot of engagement. That's like really good for, you know, you have a jewelry business that you're trying to get out there. And she went viral on TikTok and on Instagram, and yeah, that inspired me. Like, I'm so glad I'm friends with her, because I just witnessing that inspired me to go and create content that I was very comfortable making, like showing my face online and stuff like that. And then I've been doing it more and more, and the more I do it, the less I care, and the less I care, the less attached I am, and then I'm getting more and more engagement, and it's great. So I became very inspired because I chose to hang out with her.
wow, yeah.
To that one that is living in a way that I want to, you know.
And to highlight
That's a big one.
that social media can be a great tool for growth.
Yeah.
That's what I've been using
Yeah.
it for. I've been like, I'll have a little spurt of just like posting me doing stupid stuff, saying, look at the sun, everybody, and smile, like, you know, and then I'll go off for a few days. But every time I do it, like you said, it just feels like a little weight is lifted off my shoulder for my expression. Like a little chunk of armor is falling off. And it's like, I saw a video of Benny Blanco talking about is like, the evolution is the most beautiful part. It's like, so express yourself, post videos, sing, do the things in front of people. And then 2 years down the line, you can look back and see your growth so clearly. You know?
Exactly.
I do love that.
So, and it is challenging though, because there's judgment, and for me, it's mostly self-judgment or fear of what a handful of people will think of me.
Exactly.
It's usually like 5 to 10 people who I care about, and they're people that aren't really a part of my life anymore. So it's like, what? That makes zero sense, but it's the mind.
Yeah. No, seriously, for me, I asked her yesterday, like the least you care, like, you know, the first videos I would like rehearse, you know, like what should I say? Like I spent like 30 minutes trying to make it look perfect. And the more I do, I'm like, whatever, I'll just show what I'm doing. This is my real self, even if it looks messy, you know. It's and it's getting the most, people connect to that the most. You know? So I guess be yourself.
Yeah. I just had like a download of like, we are really in like a really beautiful and like heart-opening time with social media. Like, social media wasn't like this when it started out. Like now it's like everyone is a creator.
I feel like it did start out as this, and then it shifted into like.
That is actually true, because Instagram used to be about like where you're going and traveling, and like your friends would see it. And you're right, it is kind of finding its way back. I didn't even think
like
about that.
MySpace, I never was in MySpace, but the idea of it sounds really cool. Like, you have this little own personal online space that someone can come hang out in.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's freaking awesome,
Right.
you know? Like, where's that at? Like, let me throw a song on my profile. You show to my page, all these things happen. And it's like, this is Zach, you know?
I forgot about
like,
that.
No, but instead it's like, on the beach, you know? Like, it's like, where did our authenticity go?
Yeah, because we had music on there in MySpace, and
So you were in the MySpace days.
I never got into it.
dude, there was you could have your own music on there. People could check out your song that you had, your top song. They had like a top friends, which got pretty crazy. But
Sure, but like the general idea sounds pretty expressive and authentic.
Well, what I was going with that is like, I feel like it's finding its way back to us reconnecting again.
I agree.
Like, look at what we're in. Like, all of us are now creating videos to find this sort of like remembrance of each other and what we really are. And I think this is a big part of like the dark into the light. Even though it seems so dark in this like technology, there's so much light coming out of it too. That's so profound.
I think that's part of the healing. You know, it's like it's like this artificial tool, but then there's like us being the hot heart, and then we approach this thing with our heart, and then it spreads there. It's like healing through that tool, which is cool. It's like infiltrating, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
is really
wow.
cool.
You're
Yeah.
so right. That's trippy.
And I mean, that's in terms of AI. I almost see it's gonna work the same. It's starting as heart centered. I'm not choosing to create this. I'm choosing to keep it this way. But like, it could go dark, and then it can turn into something beautiful in the end. Like in Interstellar, like the TARS robots. They're like my favorite characters in the movie, and they're fucking AI. But just because they make these jokes, they're like they seem heart centered because they were created from a heart centered space. So it's like, if we could use AI from a heart centered space, imagine the limits that we can reach.
There's a story that is like an example that I hear on a podcast. I don't know if it's a real story or not, but it was like about this guy in Mexico that his kid had like a disease, so he needed to be like plugged into things all the time. And anytime that there was like because it's a undeveloped country in some places, in some areas, anytime there was like a power outage, then the kid will be exposed to dying. So then his dad loved him so much that he became inspired to create like a generator or of somehow that will like just turn itself on anytime there was an outage. So that's like an example, like using technology through getting inspired with your heart, through love.
Oh yeah.
So he's coming from love and he's creating something. So I think that's the opportunity we have with AI. We need to find ways to approach it with love, or else it's just gonna be a mental field without emotions.
Right.
Truly.
I know. Fuck. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Juli, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your art, so like the world can know. Like, we talked about what inspires you, what inspires the art itself, where it comes from, and you talked about the Atlantean, ancient Egypt, Victorian, and Elvish even, or is it Elvin?
Elvin, yeah.
Elvin.
Elvin.
Yeah. So like, where does that come from, and how did that show up into your creations?
That is interesting. So I have never I don't really plan what I'm gonna make. The more I try to like sketch something, it never works out the way I put it there. So I really, when I see people that paint something that's never been created, I always wonder where did that came from, and I still don't understand what they come up with, like a painting, like they finish it, like, yeah, it just came from somewhere, This is kind of the same. I swear I just grabbed the wire, and since the beginning, my art has looked very Egyptian. So I have like tried to get some past life readings and things like that. They haven't been very successful, I feel, but I do feel drawn to like Egyptian and like Atlantean aesthetics. So I think I'm creating pieces that are like designing like a higher state of consciousness when we used to live there, when there was like before the fall of Atlantis, which I believe was there. What I'm making looks very similar to what I believe that used to be. So I think I'm just creating these tools that also for me it's very important that they're aesthetically balanced and beautiful. Since from my experiences in mushrooms or like ayahuasca and all these intentions. No, what do you call
Entheogens?
Entheogens, like, yeah, like that's the name for like psychedelic like medicine. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, so from my experience with psychedelics, the more I was exposed to beauty, it was very like balanced for some reason. It was like geometric, when you see mandalas. So a lot of my inspiration comes from what I've witnessed in those multidimensional spaces. And I think it's important. I think balanced beauty, it's like higher dimensional. So whatever I make, besides having a crystal, it needs to be really mindfully crafted, because it's helping you tap into those higher consciousness. So beauty is important, you know, like flowers. There's magnetism in flowers. You know, you're just like walking and like, whoa, look at that beautiful flower, and it just like magnetizes you. So part of my work also is inspired by that aesthetically beauty that triggers an emotion within you, and that I learned that from Alex Gray. I read one of his books. You know Alex Gray? He makes like art. He made the art for Tool band.
You
I've
would
heard
you
the
would
name.
maybe know.
You probably know about Alex Gray. Yeah,
He's very
I
like
love this.
he's like the biggest like art visionary artist, like psychedelic artist.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alex
I
Gray.
think we actually have a piece in our house.
oh I think
Yeah.
you do.
It's the
yeah.
snowboard
Yeah.
piece. I think.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
that guy, he explained that art, the one of the objectives of art is to trigger an emotion. So because you know we're so mental, we're so trapped into this mental field and like logic, that we don't have a lot of experience with emotions, and that's like something that's coming up more and more the more we ascend. So creating something that triggers an emotion in you, whether you cry or you're just like smiling or you're just in awe,
Right.
that feeling is connecting you with your higher self. So that's part of there's like a lot of purpose in that. You know, anytime you see something that just makes you feel so good. You know, there's people that have bought necklaces for me and they have cried just from how beautiful it is.
I bet that feels really good.
Yeah, it feels very fulfilling. So yeah, my purpose is that emotion, triggering something in you. So you trigger an emotion through art. There, you have creative what you were supposed to without like blocking it with your ego. Because sometimes you do that, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can create a piece that has like part of your ego in there, and then it's not as beautiful, or it just doesn't work out.
Doesn't
It's like
resonate.
yeah, it's like when I make a sketch and what I make, the final piece doesn't look like that at all. That was like me planning ahead. This is me facing the unknown and like allowing the unknown to manifest itself. Yeah, that is super powerful. You know.
Art really is an outward manifestation of emotion.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
like dance is like music is expressing itself through me, and it's like I get like there's hard stuff that I just like my
Yeah.
face is like not angry, but it's like you know, aggressive, and then so it's so cool to hear this with other versions or other forms of art like jewelry making. Like you hear it all the time with music, like people sing to express an emotion, to provoke an emotion. Like you can one piano key from a major to a minor can make it feel sad or happy, you know.
Yeah.
But like now adapting this to jewelry is like fascinating to me because it's applied. Now I'm seeing it apply to all forms of art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the key is in the emotion, being able to tap into that field that is beyond your just right and left, your binary. Yeah, that's when you know like you fulfilled what you were supposed to with your creation or your expression.
Yeah, and then if there is ego in the way, it really,
Yeah,
I see it in
it, like,
certain
blocks
people
it.
I've met. Like there's certain music that I'm like, that doesn't resonate at all. And now I'm recognizing that's what it is. And that's one thing that I feel like I'm fearful of in terms of me diving into art is letting the ego like get involved, you know, which I'm sure is part of the journey.
Yeah, it's just practice.
It's
Yeah.
finding that flow, that trust. And yeah, I'm seeing it very clearly in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which
This is a good thing for you to hear right now.
It's a
It's
challenge.
really
Yeah,
cool.
it's perfect timing, bro.
Yeah.
For real. So, it is.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, like in my first years doing necklaces, I will make some that I will like spend like so many hours, like 5 hours, and it will turn out I wouldn't be pleased. Like I hated it, and I wasted my day, I wasted my time, and it took me time to learn that that was me wanting to create something from my mind, you know, like or to please my followers or whatever.
Yeah.
And eventually I did learn through practice and repetition to just let go. And now everything I make is like so beautiful, and like I feel so fulfilled with the end result, because it just practice allowed me to develop that sense of just being open and okay, this is what it's gonna be. And I actually talk to the piece, you know, it sounds kind of crazy, and I'm like, okay, what else do you want next? And I just put it on it, you know, like it just,
Yeah.
and it does, it communicates through like
Yeah, I believe it.
my heart. It's
Yeah.
just weird. I
You're kind
cannot
of
put
talking
it
to
into words.
yourself, which the piece is like an extension of you.
Yeah,
Of Juli.
yeah,
And then you're getting that from source.
yeah, exactly.
Downloads.
Yeah, so it has like part of the whole and part of my higher self, you know. And
Yeah.
So just expression has your heart, and the more you practice, the more you find your flow in your dance, and eventually you're just gonna embody it so well that everything's just gonna be, love.
Yeah.
People will see you loving yourself through your dance, and then you're doing a lot of service, but just witnessing that someone's gonna be like, wanna dance like that person. I felt like that before in like static dance. I used to be like super shy, and then I will see people like flowing. I'm like, wow, that is so bold.
Yeah.
And next time I will see them again, and it will inspire me. Okay, I guess it's okay to like nobody actually cares,
Right.
Yeah, everyone's too worried about what everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Worrying about thinking about what you look like.
Exactly. Yeah. And now I just like flow, like I don't care. But that's witnessing people like in their heart help me, to just like open up. Yeah, just like spread the love,
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Profound. Okay, dude, I got a big question for you, Juli.
Oof.
For people listening that don't know how to open their heart, and also for people that have never felt their heart, how would you tell someone to, or teach someone to start opening up their heart so they can become more heart-centered and to start feeling elevated emotions, like upper chakra emotions?
Oof. That's a big question. We'll rephrase it.
Yeah, and I think for you, your art is a good example. I feel like your art has probably opened up your heart in many ways. Just feeling bliss, how would you, like for me, if I was to tell someone to open up their heart or learn how to open their heart, I would say to start meditating and focusing in on your chest. But with your experience in your life, what has helped you open your heart? Because your heart probably wasn't open. It probably got closed off in your life.
Yeah.
So what helped you kind of open that up that you can remember at least, to feel joy?
I think judging myself less and less with time, because I thought that I used to be judged by people around me, and it was all inside of me. I was me like telling myself I'm not creative, or people are gonna hate if you like dance like you wanna dance. So I just started to practice loving parts of myself, and using different tools. That the tools definitely helped me to like see myself from the outside and see my emotions and where they were stored in my body. So all that stagnation was like holding me from living from my heart, and like creating something beautiful. And actually the more I did practice meditation years ago, but the more I would like sit and do like meditation or like making a necklace, it allowed me to express my emotions through my art. Some of my pieces I will feel like sadness in them, Some will have like joy, some will have like anger. Or, when I give you an example, like something wouldn't work, I will like let my anger out. Like I just wasted my time making you, like throwing hate to this piece. And it did help me to transmute those emotions. And the stagnation started to go away from different parts of my body. And then the flow started to come into my heart, and then I started to feel it. You actually feel it, like you feel your hands or your eyes. And I will say, work on yourself, like look inwards and develop practices that help you to transmute stagnation and emotions. And all the emotions are okay, like sadness, anger, happiness, all the spectrums make us who we are. But the more I came into peace with all of those parts of myself, I started to tap more into my heart. And I still like oscillate. Sometimes I'm hitting bottoms when I'm like trying to focus in material things. Honestly, that's one of my things, one of my cycles. I focus in my heart, go super high, become super abundant, And then before I notice, I'm like focusing so much on like money. It's a good example that I like go down. It's like, oh, my purpose is in following my heart, you know, like doing things out of joy, and that brings the abundance that gets me back up. So doesn't mean that I finished that lesson. I don't know if it's gonna come back, but I'm the most aware I've been. So just keep practicing.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Juli.
Thanks
Would
for
you,
the invite.
if you will, please share how people can find your jewelry, contact you. We'll also link it in the description. But
Sweet. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is T as in Taylor, ELOS Luxuria. So Telos Luxuria. Luxuria is like luxurious, but with an A, you know. That's my Instagram, Telos Luxuria. Or yeah, you can find me in TikTok in the same way. Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, and also local shows, events very often. So
Yeah, find me in underground shows,
Support-
spreading the love.
yeah, support him in his beautiful art. It's
Yeah.
it's so fun to see what he creates. He came in with this beautiful piece today. So
Yeah.
yeah, with that being said, we love you guys and we love you all.
Yes, we do.
And stay blessed.
Stay blessed.
Cool.